Many seek the path to victory, but only one can stand glorious over all. From the Badlands come the orcs and goblins, a green tide of brutal creatures that must be stopped.
Hello and welcome to another Warhammer Total War guide. Today we're looking at one of my favourite units, and that's the Savage Orc Boar Riders, along with their bigger brothers, the Big Uns. So these work slightly different to normal orcs. They're basically a slightly upgraded unit, and they work just sort of slightly different, but they perform the basic sort of same role. The difference being is that they use a thing called war paint instead of armour. As you can see, they have very little armour, and that's just provided by the boars themselves. Normally a Savage Orc on foot is 0 armour. So we're going to have a quick look at the differences between the two units, and then have a quick combat scuffle, and then talk about how they're used in an army composition. So let's have a look at the Savage Orcs. My tabletop army of Orcs and Goblins is basically based around Savage Orcs. So I have a couple of units of these boar riders in the army. So first off, they're armour piercing, so they can go up against bigger units, more heavily armoured units. They're anti-infantry. That's due to their fantastic charge. As you can see, not only are the Savage Orcs quite scary, those boars are going to do some serious damage on the charge. And also they have what's called war paint, which we'll go into shortly. So they come in units of 45. They've got 4,500 hit points. They've got 25 armour, which is just because of the boar. Normally they're 0. 60 leadership, which is pretty good for an Orc and Goblin. 64 speed, very nice. They do a decent amount of damage, and as I said, armour piercing. But they've got a very good charge of 44. So the way that Savage Orcs really differ as opposed to normal Orcs is they hit a bit harder, but also they have war paint, and this gives them a 20% physical resistance against any non-magical attack. And this is really good. Let's say if you have a certain amount of armour, let's just say 10 armour for this argument's sake, and an enemy does 100 damage. That means he's going to be doing 90 damage every time he hits you, okay? That's just obviously a basic explanation. But with the war paint, it's 20%, so it would only hit you for 80. But if that guy hits for 500, it's still 20% of that. So it's a much bigger sort of, you get a bigger swim, especially going against sort of armoured, sort of hard-hitting targets. So let's have a look at the differences between the two units. So the Savage Orc Big Uns have what's called bigger and harder. Basically means that they're happy to go up against anything. They're not scared at all of any units that they might face. Hang on, there's a movie just started I wanted to watch, so I'm going to hit the pause on that. Right. They have slightly better leadership and speed. They hit a little bit harder. They're just slightly upgraded in every aspect, really, but they perform the basic role the same. One of the big things about Savage Orcs is they have Frenzy, which is basically a passive that allows them to do more damage and increase their charge bonus and gives them immune to psychology. They're not going to get feared or terrored. They're just going to... They love fighting, so they're going to get stuck in. So the way Frenzy works is that is constant unless their morale gets to a certain level. So if their leadership is wavering, as you know when the flag flashes, which is their leadership wavering, they will lose that frenzy. So it's important to keep that morale up, either by just going after units you can defeat easily, or having the army general or a boss nearby to use. So let's have a look at them in fights. So whereas, like the Goblin Wolf Riders and the Orc Boar Boyz, they're cheaper units, and I'm more likely to use those as some sort of unit that would go after artillery, maybe go after missile units, sweep around the back of an army to sort of clear up. These guys I'm going to be more used in a sort of central aspect of your army. I want to keep them close to the boss. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to basically maybe keep them on the flanks of our main army line. So when those two army line clashes, as you always get in Total War, these guys will sweep round, come in from the flanks, come in from the rear, just to destroy faces. They don't really want to get stuck in combat for too long, because they will start dying off. They are used as like most cavalry, they are used as a charge unit. You want to break a unit and then move on to the next one. Let's watch this charge as it comes in. Oh, the horror! Oh, the horror! As you can see, it does a ridiculous amount of charge. You know, if this unit was already in combat and we charged in from the side there, it would probably be an instant break. This is what we don't want to happen, is that they get too caught up in this fight, and they will eventually wear down. Their morale isn't the best, so they will lose their morale quite quickly if they're bogged down for too long, especially against multiple units. We're strong enough to win this sort of fight, though, I imagine. Right, there we go, guys. There's our quick guide on the Savage Orcs. I hope you enjoyed it. They do look spectacular in combat as well, I'd have to say. Look at those dudes. They look amazing. We're going to go through all the units of all the armies in the game, and then we're going to go on to some more advanced tactics. So please like the video if you enjoyed it. Subscribe if you're new, and I'll see you in the next one. Thank you very much, guys. Bye-bye.